Hello everyone and welcome to the next video on my request list. Now this video is from my life purpose range, and out of all my books this is the one that you'll need if you're most interested in life purpose, which is Remember Your Life Purpose. It's the first in the trilogy and it really focuses on what you're here to do. My other books focus more on the toolbox you have, your motivations, your talents, your karmic abilities that you have to achieve your life purpose. But this video and this book is focused on the life purpose challenges only. Okay, so when you're a life path number 6 and you have born on the 3rd, 12th, 21st or 30th. Now the sub lessons of the 12th, 21st and 30th, you can dig in further into those by watching other videos on my channel. But for the purpose of this channel video, I'm focusing on the life path number 6 and the birth date number 3. But if you were born on the 3rd, there's some slight differences if you were born on the 12th, 21st or 30th. But the main and most important information is right here in this video and in the book I just showed you. So your life path number should be 90% your focus. It's your life purpose in this lifetime. Now the 3 is like the supporting number. It's like the major sub-lesson to the number 6. Now these two together encompass your life purpose, with the number 6 as the big kahuna and the birthday number 3 is like its advisor. So achieve the elements of the 6 but bring in some elements of the 3 as well. Now both of these numbers are very, very creative numbers, colours, aesthetics, artistry in every form, even an acting or singing. It's a very creative artist kind of purpose, but also very idealistic, and it causes the person who owns these numbers to be judgmental of themselves, judgmental of the world around them and how the world works, and always worried about people's reactions to the things they do, to the creative endeavours that they have. They're often very pessimistic about it. They're often shy, or they may hide their creativity due to them not meeting their own idealistic benchmarks on things, because the 6, wow, they're very hard on themselves, and they're also hard on those around them and the world around them for not being perfect. But you know, first of all, what's perfect to one person is totally imperfect for another. And if the world and everyone in it was, as you say, perfect, then we wouldn't have incarnated on earth to learn the lessons that we are learning. Remember, the world is a school of learning and experience. So the 6 is where we're focusing on first. Now the 6 is split into between 9 and 10 elements so that you can really see what your lessons are for the life path 6. Now 6s are here to be visionaries of a better world, utopian dreamers, idealistic kind of dreamers, so that they create something to aim for. This vision is not something to be judged or to be disappointed about. It's a goal, a vision to be achieved, and that's the reason why you're here, because of all the creative and perfect visions were already achieved. None of us would be here, and this wouldn't be a world of learning anyway. So you're here to look at the world and think, how can it be better? And you'll do it in your own medium. You know, you can't make the world better in every way. It'll be in something or an element of the world that you find most important or passionate for you. So you might choose to, you know, help people in Africa, or you might choose mostly to help people in your own community with different needs, children, you know, the elderly, animals, you know, adults that are struggling, you know, being a vision of a better world for the most vulnerable on earth. So It's a dreamer of a utopian ideal, something to hold aloft and act to be the change you want to see. A vision of something that you want to create in your own life, thus help create in the world. This is your journey of this lifetime. But your ideal world may not be feasible or realistic, and you've got to be sure that your ideals are not superseding the well-being of humanity. You know, ideals can become fanatical when ideals are put before the people, similar to what's happening in the United Kingdom at the moment. Communist, Marxist ideals and control are being put before and without no absolute thought at all for the well-being of the people, then that ideal becomes dangerous. So an ideal can be dangerous. It can be something that you're dreaming of that isn't really possible in our state of evolution at the moment, and it's not always feasible, it's not always realistic, and sometimes that can cause some disappointment. So it needs to be ideals that you can achieve step by step by being the change that you want to see, but being careful that your ideal is always being managed and looked at so that your ideal is not superseding the happiness, freedom and well-being of those around you. Because you're here to learn to accept the universe as it is now. You know, it's a school of light and darkness for us to experience both the good and the bad. And it's the experience of the bad that will teach you the most. And you're here to learn, to evolve your soul. So the universe is all existing in perfect light-dark balance for our experience and learning. But this can cause a six to be, to feel that the world is against them, judgmental of themselves, judgmental of the world for not meeting your ideals, judgmental that there's dark and bad people, or you say bad people in the world that are doing poor things, and vulnerable people are getting hurt. And it can cause you to not only judge yourself, but everyone else in the world and the world in general for being this dark, uncaring, uncompassionate place that it can actually be. But remember, it's just as compassionate. We tend to focus on the negative, but that's what we do. So don't be judgmental of yourself. Look at what needs to be achieved and say, okay, how can I bring more light into this, rather than being disappointed about what's happening? What can you do to make yourself and others around you happier? Remembering that it's not just your ideal that matters, it's how that ideal affects others. You're here to learn to keep that idealistic big picture in mind when working with or assessing the detail of a situation, because a six can really easily miss the successes and focus on what went wrong, getting lost in the petty detail, judging small imperfections, forgetting the big picture totally, forgetting the successes and what they've achieved in any particular day or time frame, just focusing on all the little nitpicky things that went wrong, and then really feeling down about it and judging themselves about it and judging everyone else for getting things wrong, and and missing the big picture, the fact that they've made a big stride towards something today, and missing even the small successes of a situation, and not realizing that any of what you perceive as failures or mistakes are the best opportunities to learn and develop that you will have. So it's always good to keep positive, look at what went wrong, look at what you feel the negatives are, and see what you can do to improve that for next time. That's learning, that's evolution, that's what you're here for. You're also here to nurture, so it's really important that you're responsible and that you're sensible in your nurture and your advice. But you're always seen as the responsible one, and it's because that's how you are. You're the responsible, nurturing, supportive one in the group. But you often don't embrace that. You often dislike always being given the responsibility, but others tend to pass responsibility to you anyway, whether you like it or not, because that's the energy you exude of the nurturer, the person that wants to make people's lives better. So you are the responsible, sensible, mature advisor of the group, but embrace that. Don't always be upset about people passing responsibility to you. It's actually a compliment, especially when you're ethical. It's a compliment. I mean, sixes can be unethical and totally stamp all over the responsibility that is given to you. We know in the world people getting, found out for things that, I'm not going to go into the detail, but found out where they should have been nurturing and they were actually hurting covertly the people they were supposed to be looking after. So responsibility is important. It's important to ethically embrace that responsibility. A big part of the six as well is their artistry, creating aesthetic beauty, makeup, colour, whether it's jewellery, homewares, fashion, aesthetics, the way things look, making environments and people, making environments homely and nurturing and people beautiful and sparkly. And they also adore music, and they can use their use of colour and aesthetics and the way they arrange environments and people and even the music. They can use all this creativity to help them to nurture those around them. Some of the best singers and musicians in this world are sixes, especially 33 sixes. So it's a very creative, artistic number, whether you're a performer, singer, or an artist with your hands or with your body. Your creative art, whatever medium you chose, can not only nurture yourself emotionally, but also your family and community and everyone else around you. But you're very shy, and low confidence can stop you from fully exploring your creative artistry, which is the worst of it, and never showing people or using your creative artistry to help and nurture those around you. Because remember, you are here socially to be that compassionate nurturer, the family mama bear or papa bear, community, helping those less fortunate, the young, the old, the disabled, the animals, those that are struggling in general, developing social skills, being a talkative team player and working with people. But like I said, you're here to be a nurturer, so there is a potential, especially when you use your ideals, for you to be neglectful, using your ideals as a benchmark and thinking that is helping others is actually being neglectful towards others or too judgmental towards others. So it's really important that your nurture is very ethical and not just fixed on what your fanatical ideas on the world. Make sure your ideals are balanced and centered on reality, not just on what you think should happen. So you're here to nurture those under your care. These individual souls that are here to be a different individual to you and may have different values and ideals to you. It's important that you're not, judgmental, that you're not discriminatory of your nurture and only looking after certain people that meet your ideals, because that's when it slips down a slippery slope. So you're nurturing everyone, no matter what their soul believes, no matter who they are, what they believe. You are here to nurture the whole world and accept everybody for who they are. But like I said, you can be a bit neglectful, especially if ideals are involved. But you can also be a bit apathetic about and uncaring about those that are around you, even the vulnerable, and not be that nurturer you are here to be. You're also here to be social, to be a talkative team player, to mix with other people in an ethical, positive kind of way. But sometimes the shy six, especially if they're feeling down about their ideals or down about life, can have social anxiety, shyness, a tendency to hide away in the background and not be heard. Here to create loving and stable, nurturing, peaceful homes for you and your family to feel safe and secure. Now, many sixes, one of their challenges is to create that stable family. Now, it's not 2.4 children and a mummy and daddy necessarily anymore. Family can be anything. It doesn't matter who you're with, what their gender is, or who else that you're looking after around you. That is still a family. A self-sustaining, loving group of people is a family. And it's not necessarily just mummy, daddy, children and the dog. You know, it can be a mix. It can be different. You know, you at this time of life, you can be any family you want to be. So create that loving, stable, nurturing, peaceful home that's right for you as an individual, so that you and the family and the people that you love around you feel safe and secure. But of course, especially when ideals are involved, you do have the potential to be unloving and neglectful, creating fear and instability at home, which can cause real issues, or you could even struggle to create that family unit at all, especially if you're in an alternative relationship and you'll get judgment from the world sometimes, and maybe facilities that you need to create your family or situations or organizations aren't always there. So there's part of your challenge, creating the family that you want and having the help and support that you need to do it. It's all part of the same thing. Healthy boundaries are also very, very, very important. Balancing your own well-being with helping others, knowing when to stop and look after yourself. And boundaries are important because, you know, if you do too much, you end up meddling in other people's lives and you end up exhausted and you lose yourself, and you're not following your own goals in life. You're only following yourself and your own needs. So it's really important, and most important is that your ideals are used, remember, as a vision, not as something to judge or to judge others for not being in any way. It's be the change you want to see, and that change needs to help everyone. It should not be discriminated by race or gender or country or any groups that you may or may not think of as good for this world. We are all good for this world and we are all needed for this world. So it's important that your ideals are ethical and realistic, because you will always be judging yourself, always judging others all the time. And it's important that your ideals are achievable in real life. That is really important, and that everybody can be part of how that ideal makes the world better, not just certain groups of people. Now, I'm just going to quickly touch on the types. So depending on, you know, your date of birth. Now, this is not an exhaustive list. This is just an example. You could just be a 6 with no sublessons, especially if you were born on the 2nd of March, 1999, because you got 2. March is 3 and 1999 is 1. So all that together is 6. Or the 4th of October, 1999. Again, 4 plus 1 plus 1 is just 6. The 156, you may have been born on the 15th of October. 1 and 5 is 6, October is 1, and 1997 is 8. 8 plus 1 plus 6 is 15. And as we go up the numbers, they become a little bit more rarer. You know, I never met a 51-6, by the way. The 24-6, they've probably got one or more master numbers in the 3 elements of their date of birth. Like this 24-6 has got the 11th of November, so that's 11, 11, 2, making 24. Or just one number, 7th of November 2004, only the November is the 11 plus 7 plus 6, 24. As we go up, the master numbers may need to get bigger. You may need a 22 in the 3 elements of your date of birth. Like if you were born in 1975, 1984, 1993, and any of those dates before 75, like 66, that's a 22 year, so that is always added on. So 11th of September 1975 has 2 master numbers in it, the 11 and the 22. So 11 plus 22 plus 9, making that 42/6. Or 1993, another 22 year with an 11 month, 9th of November 1993, which makes 42. And again, the most rare needs 2 22s in the date of birth. And 1993 was the last 22 years for hundreds of years, by the way. So if you were born in 1993, you got that last 22 year. Okay. So 51/6 that I've never met, really. I've got 2 22s at least in their date of birth. 22nd of July 1975 or 22nd of July 1984. So it's always going to be a day and a year that is a 22. That's why it's such a rare life path to have. Now, those elements that we've just talked about are the most important elements of your life purpose. But now if you think of your life path 6 as your lasagna, the birthday number is the garlic and the herbs that you put in it to enhance it. It's the advisor. It's be the 6, but bring in that 3 as well. So developing your verbal expression to make others feel good, inspired and entertained. As a 6, you're a nurturer. As a 6, you're here to develop your social skills and be more chatty. And the 3 says it again, develop your verbal expression, make others feel good, inspired, chat, talk to them. Don't be shy like a 6 or shy again like a 3. So shyness is a big element of this person's numbers. Shyness, sometimes mutism, not getting involved in social situations, and it may even include language barriers or stutters or difficulties with your vocabulary. There's a difficulty in socializing and communicating from a young age, and that gets developed as you grow. You're here to be creative, just like the 6. So again, double whammy on the creativity. So the 6 is about that artistic or musical expression. And the 3 is the same, creative, artistic expression to make others feel good and inspired and entertained or informed. But again, shyness and low confidence, procrastination, telling yourself you're not creative, not acting or hiding your creative endeavours, is going to hold you back from really being the nurturer and the inspirer, the teacher or the entertainer that you're here to be. So getting past that low confidence and letting people see your creativity and allowing yourself to nurture others like a 6, using your 3 would be brilliant. You're well on your path if you do that. You're here to be dynamic with the courage to take calculated and intuitive risks to progress, because you don't ever get anywhere in life without taking some risks, speculating to accumulate. But again, you might be too fearful, unable to leave your comfort zone and unable to move forward due to that fear. You've also got to deal with, now this isn't going to be easy because the 6 is shy, and so the 3 can also be shy because that's part of their development to not be so shy. They've got to work towards almost enjoying the limelight of an audience and being happy and comfortable being the centre of attention to inspire, inform and delight those around you, and most importantly nurture the most vulnerable. But of course you might end up hiding in the background, even fear being noticed, definitely not wanting to speak in public or in front of groups of people, and that's something that you really need to work through so that you can use that potential to nurture, inspire, inform and delight those around you. You're here to act, to be a doer, an executor of ideas, to actually not just be in your idealistic head, but to actually execute those ideas ethically and responsibly and with compassion for everyone on earth. But apathy and laziness and lack of confidence and I can't do it kind of mentality will stop you from achieving that if you allow it. You're here, like the six, to be responsible and ethical because you're a nurturer. Nurturers need to be responsible and ethical and actually nurture for that person's well-being and be responsible for yourself and the consequences of what you do as a nurturer. But of course, because you're here to nurture like the six, you can be irresponsible and then unable to take responsibility for what you've done or your actions or for the consequences of your actions. And it's important that when you make a mistake, we all do it. And sometimes when you do, you think, oh, that was irresponsible, I shouldn't have done that. To actually make it right and take the consequences, take responsibility and make the situation right rather than running away from it. You're here to develop positive emotional expression, speaking to others, chatting to others in a way that lifts other people up, not being shy or social anxiety or uncommunicative or, expressing negative emotional expression that ends up destroying those that you're supposed to be nurturing and anyone else around them because you're a very emotional kind of energy. It's important that those emotions are used to lift, nurture, inspire, inform, delight those around you, not to destroy them or hurt them. You're here to be independent and interdependent, engaging in tasks that build your independence so that you can be interdependent. But the three can be quite wishy-washy, airy-fairy, irresponsible at times, and has a tendency to swing towards dependence because they avoid routine, commitment, everyday tasks. They can struggle to even want to stay in employment because of the routine of it all, because of the drudgery of it all, especially if they're doing something that is not part of their creative streak or they're not doing something that is, firing up their passion. They'll avoid work and routine and commitment and end up dependent on those around them if they're not using their passion and interest and, the ethical and well-meaning ideals that help others and getting passionate about that. They're going to struggle to really get into life and be the independent person that they're here to be. They're here to learn to be opportunistic, a networker, snapping up opportunities as they arise, think on their feet. Oh, there's someone I could speak to. I didn't know they were going to be here. I wonder if they can help me in my next creative endeavour or my next entrepreneurial endeavour that I'm going to do. But again, shy, underconfidence, procrastination, letting opportunities pass you by, the social development, the communication is really important for your mix. But this is all a path of development, and if you were perfect already, then you wouldn't have any point being here, would you? So get your social development up, your nurture of others, make sure your ideals are ethical, make sure your ideals are realistic and that they actually help to nurture, inspire, inform and delight those around you. That's important. Now, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe and follow me. You can contact me for a reading at this email address, katie@soulexplorer.net, or you can put a comment on my videos, but that might be a bit slower. If you do that, you're quicker. You'll get on my list quicker if you send me an email. Or if you want, you can follow or contact me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn and Twitter. And if you want, you can even support me on Ko-Fi and Patreon if you really felt the need to. But whatever happens, guys, follow the voice within you. Whatever your intuition, your gut feelings, that voice in your head, that feeling in your solar plexus tells you to do, then it's likely that that's the best course of action. Don't overthink. And if anything I've said in this video goes a bit against your intuition, always go with your voice within as a priority. It's important for your path. The final book I had planned is complete. Now, this is my last book that I have planned, and it's called The Vibration of a Name. And it's for people that might be having children, expecting children very soon, or maybe even wants to name something personal, whether it's a baby or a business or even a pet within your house. You can use this book to know the vibration of the name that you're using. There are thousands of names within this book that you can use in order to create the talent vibration that is best for your child or your business or anything that is important. So choose the vibration, the talents, the attributes that best supports your child's date of birth or their life path, which is their life purpose. Or name a business with the characteristics needed for your business. Or maybe you're naming something else that's personal. This is my first book. Well, it's like a prequel book, and it's for beginners in numerologies, and it's grounding for newbies and shows all the number energies in a personal chart. Then you have the first of the trilogy, and it's more for intermediate numerologists, people that want to really break numerology down and start using it as an art. It provides a deeper analysis of the lessons and challenges of your life path and birthday energies. So the reasons why you're here, a concise list of your priority life path tasks and your secondary life path tasks. They're not linked because the first column on the left is the most important column for you to work on, but also using the influence of the right hand column to achieve the lessons of your life purpose. Then looking at how your life purpose energies blend with all your talent numbers in your chart. So this is again the second in the trilogy for intermediate numerologists that provides an analysis of the lessons of the life path as they correspond with your main talent expression number, and it can be used for the numbers too. And then the third and final and new book of the trilogy, my intermediate numerologist books, which provides analysis of the lessons of the life path and the soul urge. And that's the motivation, a lesson by lesson comparison of how driven and motivated you are to learn the lessons of your life path. These 3 books can be used if you want to be a numerologist. However, if you just want to learn it for yourself, then just the first book, Remember Your Plan, will be for you.